same but met before until I'm overseas on tour and peep this Ethiopian queen and from Philly taking classes abroad. She studying film and photo flash, focus, record, saying that she saw my flick and could my click to the score. Said she loved my show in Paris at Elysee Montmartre, and then I stepped off the stage and took a piece of her heart. Boom. What's going on, y'all? It is your new best friend, Cashmere, California, and this is the Pod is Good podcast, aka the Notorious PIG, episode 31. Pod is good, and all the time. If you know, you know. If you don't, you're going to learn. Keep listening. Today, I have an incredible guest with me, as always. Another amazing, triumphant story, another beautiful entrepreneurial story. Someone who is not only a life coach, she's a makeup artist, and more than anything, she's inspiring. She's motivational. She's dedicated, and she's here with us today. So, without further ado, let's get it going. Latoya De'Shaun. How you
Hello
doing
there.
today?
I'm doing good in this hot weather in LA. I
Oh
am
my
doing well.
goodness.
How are you?
I'm good. I am also suffering from this West Coast temperature. It feels like we were just on storm watch
Yeah,
last week, and now it's like devil watch this week.
it's crazy.
The heat is ridiculous, but glad you made it. Happy you're here. Appreciate your time. All right.
Absolutely.
All right, let's start with this. Let's start in Chicago. Because when I found out you were from Chicago, it hit my heart because me and my wife just came back from Chicago, and it was
Mm.
my first time like really like hanging out in the city, and I was like, yo, I love it
You
here.
love it. You love it,
I
right?
love it here. Like the architecture's dope. That's what everybody always talks about, the buildings, first thing. But then the food is dope. The people at least that I was around was dope. The lakes. I mean, it was just like, yo, Cali, like I'm already on Redfin before we get back on the plane. But you lived in Chicago, so you tell me, how is Chicago really?
I mean, it's really the best place in the world. I've been a
Okay,
lot of
okay.
places, 11 countries, and
Wow.
Chicago, hands down, is the best place in the world to be for everything you
Wow.
just said. And really, it is the people. I didn't even recognize that it was the people until I left and I moved back, and then I came back to visit. And I was like,
Yeah,
we have a certain vibe, a certain energy that's not just
for
black
sure.
folks. Like you can go listen to house music. It's like for everybody, and
Right.
you're gonna see everybody there. We're gonna be vibing. And so that really is a metaphor for the city. To me, is a vibe. And then when you get downtown, it's even more so.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that. We went to this little like, I wish I can remember the name of it. Like it's something street, but it's like a smokehouse, like a barbecue spot, right?
Okay.
And I kind of got that feeling when we were there because it was a little bit of everything in the space. But it was very open. Like the seating was open. People were like, like one really long table that has like a few different groups of people sitting at the table, and everybody was cool. There
Yeah,
didn't feel like there was any get away from me's. It was
absolutely.
good energy.
Absolutely. Even though they say it's a really segregated city because we have 77 different neighborhoods, for me, I have repositioned that to be more positive than it is negative. Like, I like the fact that you can go into a Mexican neighborhood and, like, I know I can go get the food that I want, the authentic food that I want. I know I can go into a Koreatown and I can get that kind of food that I want, go on the
Mm,
south side. And then, Puerto Rico, there's a huge flag in that neighborhood, which is dope. You got to go see it. And so
nice.
I actually love that part about it, so that I can actually get to explore. And I'm an authentic girl, so I like to delve into those type of things.
Now, Chicago has a storied history, not only in, you go all the way back to organized crime,
Yeah,
to politics, to architecture,
yeah.
but one that, we know it has a great hip hop history too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Chicago has delivered when it comes to hip hop artists. So I'm going to catch you off guard with this, but I need to know, if you can, your top five Chicago artists of all time.
Okay, that's so I hate this,
I
right?
know it. I know it. I know it. I'm so
But
sorry. I
before
had to
you
do it.
get there, I just want to acknowledge that this is the 50th year of hip hop, and I did not see Chicago represented in the way that which I would have liked.
Talk about it.
And so when
I
we're talking about that, we're talking about Twista, Do or Die, okay,
mm,
Common. We're
mm.
going you look and outside of hip hop, right? We're talking about Shaka Khan, things like
Oh
that. So, for me, I grew up on Twista. I grew up on Do or Die. I grew up on
yeah.
Fist of Conflict.
Oh,
We grew up on Common. Yeah. So, those
in
are
the middle of the
on. Like
ball.
we was in there for that. And so for me, when
Mm,
those people come on, it is really Chicago, especially Common. And we can even
yeah.
put Kanye West on the list too. Like his
Yeah.
earliest is very
Absolutely.
much Chicago, and definitely
Yeah.
classic in the vibe. Yep.
You watch you follow Chance?
You know what? I was actually just saying something the other day. I just was like, I never really jumped on it. I think
Mm,
I learned that he started with acid rap, and
yeah.
he recently just said that he's going to move away from acid rap. I saw in one of his concerts that he did in Chicago a few days ago. I have no idea about it. Even like Chief Keef, like I have no idea. So there are some people you just completely are removed from.
Yeah.
But I did go to Chance's Black Star Line concert in Accra, Ghana this past January. So I'm
Dope.
a supporter, even though I may not know the songs.
There you go. You gotta support Chicago, right? As
Really?
long as as soon as you find out they from Chicago, it's like, all right, well, bet you on the list.
Yeah. Well, we had Jeremiah. Why we got to put Jeremiah on the list too?
Yep,
I went to
yep.
college with him, so
Oh,
things
dope,
like that. Yeah, for sure.
dope. Did you ever do any music yourself?
No, but my parents are part of a group called the Classic Sullivans, and they did tour with Motown. So
What?
yeah, which is random. And then
That's dope.
my uncle Eddie Sullivan was best friends with Marshall of the Shy Lights, and so he was the
I
writer of the group. So yeah, all
oh
that
yeah,
was before I was born, though.
yeah. But I know he's still gotta, try to sing a little bit at the family reunion, let people know he still got it right.
Here's the thing: my uncle passed away a few years ago. But let me tell you something
Oh,
about
sorry.
him. He dressed up every day. I never seen
There
him
you
wear
go.
a jean in my life
There you go.
ever.
Because you got to coordinate. That's
He
right.
was ready every time.
I love it. Always on go.
That suave, like wear the shirt with no shirt on, showing
Yeah.
a little nipple.
Oh, there you go.
He's a part of that era. He was, yeah,
One too many buttons open. I get you. I get you.
yeah.
Swag it out. I love it. I love it. All right. So that's a little about Chicago separate from you. Now
Mhm.
let's get to you in Chicago. So you grew up in Chicago. Fondest childhood memory. What's the one thing that jumps out to you about your childhood in Chicago?
Oh, playing with my cousins every
Hmm.
day. I have a huge family, and so my cousins who are in age with me, it was probably about 10 or 15 of us,
Yeah.
between like my mom and her siblings. And so I remember my granddad used to pick us up from grade school, and we just used to give him hell, but whatever. And then we would all go to grandma and granddad's house
Right.
until the parents picked us up. And so I just remember having fun coming in, watching Power Rangers, The Box, watching
Oh, the box. Yeah.
the box. When they used to watch the numbers, and they used to know your song was gonna come and everything.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just
Love it.
in and out the house, playing outside until it's nighttime, all that good stuff in Chicago. I call it, we have a porch culture in Chicago,
All
which
right.
means, and because LA doesn't have one, like we sit on our
No.
porch, we kick it at night, all that stuff. And I miss that so much.
And you know what? There's a portion of LA that actually does have porches, but they don't really just kick it on them like that. Because
Exactly. It
in
ain't
that
supposed
area, you don't really want to just. I mean, you saw Boys in the Hood. You don't really want to just be.
the same thing from when I grew up. It's just that everybody know that most of the time the gang members are your cousins. So for me, those are my cousins.
Ah,
So, you know,
right.
you know.
So you're like, I'm good. I'm
I
good.
mean, you
All
can at
right.
least tell us
So
if we're not good.
right, that part.
Yeah.
All right. So you a kid playing with your cousins, family time all the time, giving grandpa hell. But he's loving it. These his grandbabies. He been ready for this, right? Um, Food. Chicago is known for a few different foods. You got the Chicago dog. You got Chicago pizza. You got Garrett's popcorn. You got food in Chicago. What's your food when you're a kid? What's your thing?
I don't know. I mean, Chicago has 7,000 restaurants. Okay, so number
Yikes.
one, that is a fun fact, over 7,000. But as a kid, definitely on the weekend we had our pizza, and so I just want to make this clear because
Yeah,
it just seems like this is going to be an argument till after I die. But there's always this conversation about deep dish versus thin crust. Obviously, this is
always.
Chicago versus New York, and so
Yes.
I feel like Chicagoans want to let everybody know that we actually grew up eating thin crust pizza. We did. So thin
Mm,
crust is what you would order, and that's what we would have like at the house. So Friday night, all the kids are over, everybody's partying, kicking it. We're gonna order Italian Fiesta, thin
there you
crust. But if we go
Nice.
out to a restaurant and we dine, or someone comes into town, we're gonna go make sure we go hit up the deep dish place, which we're still gonna order thin crust as well. And so I just want to make that
Ah,
very clear. We own both.
which one's better?
You know what? I don't got time. If one of my friends was here, they'll probably be like, "Thin crust sauce." See, this is the type of conversations. This is what I mean. But like, I like both. It's
I
okay to
like them
like.
both. That's how I
I
felt. I heard Bobby Flay say, like, he's like, what's the argument with which pizza's better? He said, New York is pizza. Deep dish, that's not pizza. He's like, that's like lasagna. He discredited completely. But I'm like, I've
I
had both.
feel they call it pie. They call it pie. I heard that, but
Right.
that's for people not in Chicago. People in Chicago is deep dish pizza.
Right, right. All right. So outside of that, you grow, you go through high school, yada yada yada. Eventually, one day you decide what I'm gonna do with my life. What's the first thing that you're thinking? What's your first dream? I guess is my question.
I mean, I would say like I knew that I was a boss early on
Mm,
in terms
hello.
of like I knew what it is I didn't want to do or didn't want to be around a certain energy. And then also I felt like if you're not going to get what I need done, I'm going to get what I need done. Right. So, how
Mm,
I exhibited that was, let's go back to 13 years old when my mom wanted to put me in a private school. And at that time, it was a thing, to have your child in private school. I'm sure you were around that time. It's like, my kid going to
absolutely.
private school. Right. And it's
All
like,
right.
but you've never been to private school. And so,
Right.
I remember getting accepted and then hiding the letter because I didn't want to go, in which they sent a second letter and I didn't get to that one fast enough. And then I get into the interview with my mom and they're pretty much talking to me about the school. And I just tell the lady straight up, like, I'm not going to this school. I said, I'm not
Wow.
going. I know why my mama got me here. Like, I'm not going. And
Wow.
I already got a plan. Like, I don't get it. And so pretty much I had to get to work. And so I myself wanted to go to a certain school, Chicago High School for Agricultural Sciences, CHAS. And I made sure I applied. I got a hookup. My eighth grade teacher hooked me up. We found
Okay.
somebody. I took the test. I got in. And then my mom was just kind of looking. There was
Nice.
nothing she could say at that point because I just saved you a whole lot of money. This school is ranked number 6 in Chicago. What's the problem?
Hey, what are we talking about?
Yeah, and I also knew that I was going to excel. I didn't need like a certain school to get the prestige. Like I knew
Mm,
that I was a smart student and that I also like school. So I'm going to put my best foot forward. You ain't got to do all this, mom. This is you doing the
yeah.
most.
And then a lot of people get into school and they don't really know where they're going. You know what I mean? They don't really have a plan. It sounds like you had a plan, but for most people, it's just like, well, I've been told I should go to school, and my parents want me to go to school, so here I am. I guess I'll figure it out later.
I knew I wanted to go to college.
Yeah.
So in my mind, like the kind of school that I'm choosing is setting
Mm.
me up also for the next thing. And
Ah.
so I had that foresight. And
Yeah.
also, I want to make it very clear the reason why I didn't want to go to that school because it was a primarily Mexican school. No disrespect to Mexicans, but it was in an area that's not so great, like not an area you
Mm.
just hanging around in. And so for my
Yeah.
mom, I just don't think that she was really observant or really looking at the impact. I feel like having me in an all Mexican neighborhood at an all Mexican school would severely change the trajectory of my life. And if she had brought me to a private school that had Black kids there as well, which there were schools in Chicago like that, maybe I would have considered it. But where she had me on the border of Chicago, no way in the world I was going there.
It wasn't happening. It
No
wasn't
way.
happening. And so,
Exactly. So I said I'm a succeed wherever I go.
like you said, there's not much mom can say at that point. I mean, it's like, Okay. Sounds like you got it figured out.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first beginning stages of me sort of like curating the kind of life that I wanted.
Mm.
Mhm.
So you felt in control.
Well, I won't say I mean, I just felt like I won't say I was in control because it took a lot for me to do that.
Yeah.
But I was just very grateful that
Yeah.
I did get the choice to go where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And to your best recollection, like what set you up for that point? You know what I mean? Like that place of like, I know I'm gonna succeed. I know I'm not gonna wait for this. I'm not gonna have it based on this. I'm like betting on myself. I know I'm gonna do it. Like what gave you that confidence?
I was already showing myself to be a leader in grade school. I was the one that you would call on to be like the captain of something, the president of something, the leader of
Mm,
something. It was me and one of my friends. We're still good friends to this day. And my eighth grade teacher, who we still talk to, she always says and acknowledges, she said, "You and him were the one." And
wow.
we demonstrate that today in the various things that we've done in our life. So I knew that.
I love it. I love it.
Mhm,
That's incredible. That's
mhm,
incredible. Okay, so we just gonna jump from there and go straight to now you're a makeup artist, right?
mhm.
Not now, I'm saying, but in Chicago, I'm getting to the point where you are a makeup artist. I heard in one of your lives you were like, I was a struggling makeup artist in Chicago. So tell me about the early struggles for anybody out there that might be trying to aspire to that. Let them know what are some of the pain points in being a makeup artist.
Well, I want to go just a little bit back before that to sort of give you some context on why I called it struggling. I
Okay.
had already went to college and graduated. I had already at that time studied abroad, went to three countries, China, Korea, and Paris, and studied there. And then I graduate and then I go start working for corporate America. And I'm like, oh my God, what did I just choose for my life? This is terrible. I cannot stay at a desk like for 8 hours. It was terrible. And
Got
so
it. Got it.
I literally, my mom had always put her makeup on, and I was like, wore makeup for like eighth grade graduation, stuff like that. So she was okay with it. And I mean, and by makeup, like foundation, not just like lip gloss, eyeliner stuff. Like
Yeah.
I have foundation on in my eighth grade pictures. And so she was that kind of girly girl, which was cool. And so uh, I would always wear the makeup in college and things like that. And then when I got out of school a little bit, Mac was the top company around that time and one
Mhm.
of the few companies that was real big on artistry and artistic expression from a consumer standpoint. Everywhere else was more considered pro. And
Got it.
so
Got it.
and so as I was, going to buy, and all the girls, all the millennials know we was at the store getting Ooh Baby lips, lip gloss from Mac, and that clear lip glass that y'all love, and all that stuff. And so you're buying a little bit here and there. And so every time I would go to a counter, they would think that I was interviewing because of the way my makeup and just my demeanor was.
Ah.
Yeah, and so I one day just was like, "Hey, let me." I met someone. Her name actually same name as me, Latoya.
Hmm.
Met her out at the mall, and I said, "Hey, what if I did something like this?" And she said, "Hey, come here on a Tuesday. I'll teach you whatever you need to know to get the next
Nice.
deal." Yeah, I did that. Appreciate her so much.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Um,
huge.
and so I left working at a media company to start freelancing because that's what I was offered
Mhm.
with the company. But again, that was my first job ever in makeup working for MAC Cosmetics. I don't think that that's crappy
Not at
um,
all. Not at all.
at all. And
And I
it's a
mean, and hold on, sorry to cut you off, but you
yeah.
kind of glossed over it. But this was, I think, kind of a big thing to talk about. You lived in how many countries?
I studied abroad 3 times while I was in college and got them all paid for. So my first trip
Oh
was
my goodness.
China.
Uh huh.
My second, which changed my entire life. So a lot of my work today
Yeah.
is built off of that foundation of me going on my
Yeah.
trip at 19 years old. And then right after that, I was hooked. It was just like getting a tattoo. So it's like, where's the next country? So I did France, Paris, France for the holiday, New Year's. That was amazing. Everybody just drinking Moet. That's when I realized it was called Moet.
Right.
And you know, and that was awesome.
These rappers had it all wrong
Yeah,
this whole time.
imagine 20 years old, you're in Paris in the Champs-Elysees New Year's Eve, and everybody has a bottle of Moet kissing each other. I will
Wow.
never forget that. Exactly.
Beautiful.
And then after that, I went to Korea. So I went to Seoul, Korea. South Korea. And so got them all paid for. I went to University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, which is number one for at that time for study abroad. It was number
Nice.
yeah. So it's just a lot of I'm just a girl who utilizes her resources. Like
You do. I'm seeing
like
it.
I'm not gonna. You
Doing
can't
it.
say no to me. I'm gonna find it. Like I got it all paid for. And so when we talk about again these opportunities that parents might think you should have, and that you have another vision for yourself, I'm thankful that I was able to get those trips paid for. Because had I asked my parents, they would have been like, no. They were
No.
already a bit hesitant to
Yeah,
have me go out the country. And honestly, at that time, like what Black folks were traveling like that unless they were in the military,
man.
right?
And paid for.
And paid for. So really, I'm like, Mom, there's nothing that you can do. And honestly, it took me a 1 month to spend $500 there. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So
Yeah,
um,
I'm impressed, yo. That's incredible. That's incredible. Salute to you.
thank you, thank you. It
Salute
changed
to you.
everything about what I said. So when we're talking about what it is that I'm doing, want to do for the rest of my life, once I
Mhm.
went to China, I knew exactly what it is I wanted to do. It
Yeah.
really started from I know the system. I know how to pimp this system, yo. Like
Yeah.
I can get Black kids. Y'all need to go to college. Let me show y'all how y'all ain't gotta pay for these trips. Take these online classes. Stop just going to class every day.
Yeah.
Find other non-traditional ways. And so I was ready. So after I did those trips, I single-handedly convinced at least 5 people within that next year, 5 Black people to go study abroad.
Nice.
Absolutely. I did. I was
Nice.
not playing. I was like,
Right.
we're gonna go to this office, you can get this money, fill out this thing, and every last one of them got to pay for.
And that's why I felt like I should go back when you said I went and studied abroad at three. I'm like, hold on, that sounds because going to another country, it it can sound like a short story, right? You tell somebody, oh yeah, I went to
Yeah.
blah blah blah, very easy. But the actual journey there, whether it's how long the flight is, it's the longest flight you probably ever took at that
Yeah.
point, and what it's like getting off the plane and trying to
Yeah.
order food for the first time, and all these little things. There's so many nuances that develop you as a human being
Yep.
being in a new place. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Immediately.
yeah.
Immediately. When I did it, first of all, the flight was 12 hours to China. It was light the entire time. It was a 12-hour difference.
Oh,
So we were in the air in the light time. It never was not
wow,
light. It
that
was
is crazy.
wild. But also, China has a lot of
Mm,
smog. So you look up at the sky and it's a gray sky. It's not really
right,
white like
right.
that. Um, I single-handedly saw a building that looked like the White House. The way they built that in 2 weeks, or the progress that was made within 2 weeks, I was just like, "Oh my God, America is just the laziest." They just, contracts, and they just stay out. Construction workers will be if it's a 3-year project, construction they're gonna take
Oh yeah.
3 years to do it. Where over in China, I saw a McDonald's built from the ground up. Day I'm gonna call it day 0. We saw
Mhm.
nothing but pavement. Day 4, there was a working
Shut
McDonald's
up.
where I went and got a filet of fish.
Shut up.
And I remember because the people in my group was pissing me off because they kept eating all the food off the lazy Susan, the white folks I was hanging out with. And I was just like, could y'all stop hoarding the food and let it go
Oh my.
around once? That's how good this food was.
That's
So one day I said, I'm tired of all of y'all. And I got up and I went to the McDonald's and got a filet of
she
fish
said
day 4.
day four. That's different.
Yeah. And then when I got on the bus the next day, I told them how trashy I thought they all were. And that I went to McDonald's and they was like, no, you did. It's not open. No, you did. Road passed by. They all was like, wow.
Because you're right. If that contract was 3 years out here, they would take 3.5 years. They still gonna find a way to do some change orders 4 years.
4 days, the
Oh
best filet
my
of fish I've ever
goodness.
had to this day.
Yeah, yeah. So I know that there's a lot there. I know we're not gonna dig too much into international travel today, but I know for a fact that each country that you were blessed to spend time in brought something. You know what I mean? I did want to ask one
Yeah.
question about it. Did you? Are there any lifelong friends that you kept from any of those journeys?
Oh, I mean,
Yeah,
oh, yeah, for sure. Okay. So Korea, that was
yeah.
such a dope trip
Seoul,
too.
Korea.
We studied Seoul, Korea. We studied agricultural vocational education. And one day, this guy, he was a teacher at one of the schools. Because in Korea back then, I don't know if it's the same today, that was one of the best careers you could do to get money when you were teaching abroad. It was
Wow.
one of the best countries. And so he was one of the teachers, and he was like, "Hey, let's all go out to dinner, or whatever." It just seemed like it was going to be low key. He had a girlfriend. This man invites us, and it's all these people here, like at least 20 people who he has also invited, uh, in our small
Yeah.
group from America. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
who is this dude? I just really appreciated it.
Wow.
I went to China in 2005. I just saw him again last year. He's from Cape Town, South Africa. Him and that woman are now married with two kids, and I
That's
stayed with him for
dope.
5 days.
That's dope.
Hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
Telling you
it was
that
a good time.
if anybody's listening, if you didn't pick up on it, if you haven't got a chance to travel outside of the country, do it. Truthfully, if you can't go outside the country, just travel to even to another state. I've talked to people in California that haven't been out of California except to go to Vegas.
For sure. Yeah, that's one of my gripes about this place. Y'all ain't been
Right,
nowhere.
right.
Y'all don't know
And this
nothing.
place will fool the people here to feeling like this is it. You know what I mean? This is like the epicenter of Earth.
And for some people it is. So
That's
let's
true.
not take that away from them. Like for some people it is. Yeah.
Just
Just not me.
all right. So do we get to now you've learned from the girl who taught you, which was dope. So she teaches you everything she
Yeah.
knows. That's your first job at Mac, right? And then
Yep.
it sounds like you become not just an entrepreneur, but an entrepreneur. Like you kind of built it from within Mac to kind of learn your skills, to hone your talents, and then you moved it outside of Mac.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's when I really saw how I'm like
Mm.
I'm a boss when it comes to selling. So that whole line when Jay-Z says I can sell water to a
Yeah.
well, I'm a hustler, baby. I can sell
Yeah,
water to
and
a
then you
well. I'm
you even
that
like
girl.
got the rapper like Twitch every time you say boss. You like not one time you said I'm a boss. You like I mean because I'm a boss. You grit up a little
I
bit.
mean,
You mean it,
I have results. So,
not just a
yes,
word.
I
It's not just a
have
word.
results. Yes, it's results. And so yeah, like I noticed then that I was an incredible seller because in freelance, a lot of times because you're not ringing on the register and you're just freelance, so you don't work for the store, you're
Mm-hmm.
rotating your sales. So from the permanent employees, you basically are rotating and giving them a sale. So they started noticing how good I was. So they were getting pissed off. They're like, Toya, you better get them sales right. Oh, Toya's up next. Oh, well, I don't got nothing to worry about. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. And then women started lining up to get like matched with foundation. Like I would
Wow.
have a line, and things like yeah, which I had to cut all that out because y'all not gonna run me to the ground because you don't think these
Right.
girls can do
That part.
makeup. That's what we're not gonna do. But I still noticed that I had a gift, and someone even told me that I was really good at matching foundation skin. So matching foundation to their skin, as well as just being a really good seller and knowing how to convert more items than just like one or two or things like that, like
Mm,
really helped
yeah.
me to stand out and start my career. And then I eventually moved on to Smashbox Cosmetics to where, okay, so let us give you a little context. I went and got my master's degree during that time. Went to Loyola
Was you
University,
like doing makeup and
Chicago.
reading the book
So
at the same time? Like,
yeah, I was literally like green makeup, blue makeup, going to Loyola University, Jesuit religious university, popping up at like 5 p.m. for the class,
grind.
right? That's me. And, which I did half of those girls who got married in my master's program. I did
Dope.
their makeup for the
Fire.
wedding, which is really nice. Yeah. But yeah, so I was doing both. And then I had a spirituality teacher who at the time had told me, she said, like, I really wonder, like, what would happen with your makeup career if you just solely focused on that? Cause like, you're good. I'm looking at her like, this degree costs $40,000. I don't know what you're talking about. You better talk about this degree and these classes. Um, but then I talked to my friends also, and they was like, we agree with her. At that time, I had graduated, and it was hard to find a job. This was around
Mm,
the recession, or like 2006,
yeah.
2007, so it was about
Yeah.
to start brewing. And that just was not excited about the process of trying to look for a gig outside of of my master's. My degree is in higher education administration. So to work for a college or university, you got to go through background checks and things like that. And at that time, people who had PhDs were already being laid off. So they was taking those master's positions. So if I didn't have any real experience, if you offered me the job, I got like no benefits, no nothing. So it was like as good as nothing. And so I was just frustrated. And then I got the makeup gig, and so well, I actually got that before I did my master's, but I decided to just take it more seriously. And so instead of look to work within something to build up my credentials, let's look at what I already have, which is I work inside of makeup. I'm able to curate these experiences. Let me find what I am, my skills, and my capabilities within this thing that I'm doing. And so as a result of doing that and working with Smashbox Cosmetics, I ended up breaking a record there. And so I worked at Macy's, which is the second largest store in the United States, and I broke a record for the most sales on the floor that year. Yeah. So I was a manager. I had a team of two, and together we broke the record on the floor.
Okay. Okay. So I get it. You're incredible with I get it. You're an artist. So now I need to know, because I'm not that good with it. So what color? What's the number that I need to look for? What brand should I be looking for as I get my makeup, swag right?
I can tell you right now, about 20 companies, I could tell you your shade. If you was NARS, you would
Mm,
be Macau. If you was Back, you'll
mm,
be NC50. If you was Dior, you'll be
mm.
5N. If you was Bobby Brown, you'll be 6.5
You go,
Almond.
girl.
Okay.
You go, girl.
I'm telling you, I
She
worked for
got it.
like all
She
of them.
got it. All right. So it sounds like it was great. Tell me the downside. Everything has a downside.
Oh wait. So I want to make that clear. I so after I done well and succession planning, because at that time I wanted to be a trainer, and again my whole from day one I just wanted to teach. So whether it was teaching kids how to get into college and play the system, the other thing was now I'm in makeup. How do I go be a trainer and go train all over the world? Because now I've studied abroad. So how do we international trainer, all that stuff? Only it's just really hard because I'm a Black woman, I think, who has this sort of energy. And when you're in these spaces, sometimes a lot of people want to bring you down or remind you or try to devalue you, or on the other side, you're an incredible seller for these people, and they don't want to lose their best help. So you got both of those going on, right? I guarantee you they have not broke that record
Wow.
yet. And I did that over 10 years ago.
Wow.
I bet you. And so quite naturally, as I asked for succession planning, my boss asked me if I wanted a hug. And so those were the beginning stages of like, wow, damn, like you can work so hard, and then these people will be trying to get you out the door right after that. Incredibly
Did you say he
devastated
asked for a
because
hug?
oh, he asked for a hug. So you want a hug?
Oh.
And I want to, and I don't even want to
Yeah.
stay on that for too long, but I didn't even know I broke a record until the lady at Chanel, the manager at Chanel, told me. My bosses weren't even going to tell me.
Wow.
Yeah,
Always
exactly.
trying to keep us down just a
And
little bit. Just get
a
right.
lot of it sometimes. And so I that's when I learned that people work for
Yeah.
people. They don't work for companies. People always work for people. So quite naturally, I just stopped working for them. So I just was doing the bare minimum. And this just goes to show you how awesome I was, because even at my bare minimum, I was still getting accolades. I was literally in there like, what can I do to do bad so I can like get fired? Because what you're gonna do is fire me so I can get on unemployment.
You know
Okay,
the
I know
game.
the game. You're not gonna let me just.
Right.
I'm not just gonna go.
Right.
So how do I get fired? But the way Macy's work is, it's very HR and all that stuff. So one day, one woman came up to me in the beauty section and said, something's going down with you. Like they pulled us all off the floor to talk about you. And I was like, what?
Dang.
And what's crazy about it is she was the person who worked there the least who came and told me. So you'll have all these people around you. You think you're your friends, and they in the office tricking on you. So that was, yeah. And then, so what I did was, to be smart, I took my client book of 300 clients that I've acquired while working there and took that home that day, because that's my real estate.
He was
That,
like, I
we not
see.
out.
The writing's on the wall. Let's play the game.
Let's play the game. We're going to play the game. I took it home that day. I was in an interrogation room for 2 hours the next day and escorted out the building. Exactly. Just like that.
You're in Macy's interrogation room because you took the clients, or because something else?
No, it's just like when they arrest you, right? They don't know nothing. So when you get arrested and they don't charge you, they don't know. So they put you in interrogation and get you to tell on yourself.
Did you
That's
get
what
a
that's
feel
all
for
about.
what their assumption was? Like, what did they think?
They wanted to try to get me for stealing,
Ah,
but you can't. I'm not. I mean, this is my career that I want to do for a long time.
yeah.
I wouldn't dare steal a piece of product when we also got a lot of free products. So no. So even when they were trying to ask people on the floor, like, have I done anything or
Oh,
any, like, no one could say because I'm not that type of
got you.
person. Like I have integrity. So, but I do know one girl who still follows me on the Instagram who was a trick, and I still just be looking at her like, you literally went up in there,
Hey, hey,
but whatever,
that
let's move
that's
on.
her. That's her grind.
Don't keep me there. Don't put me back there. But uh, and so they didn't have anything on me, so they were trying to get me to admit to some wrongdoing. And so
Wow.
anyway, what I did tell them was when I first worked for the company, you have so many bosses. You have your Macy's bosses, then you have like your makeup bosses, trainers, account executives, everybody coming in and out. So when I was first hired, they came in and brought me makeup. They usually do that when you're fresh to give you some stuff to start wearing. And I didn't check it out. So you're supposed to get it signed out, things like that. So how Macy's ended up getting me is because I told them that my trainer gave it to me and I left and I didn't sign because I was like, it was like the first week I had no idea what anything was about. That because I said that, and because in the HR handbook it says that any product that comes into the store is considered Macy's property, that they said I was stealing because I took it out. Mm-hmm.
And now, but
HR.
prior to this, you said something like you wanted them to fire you. You were trying to figure out something to do to get fired. Why were you trying to be fired?
Oh, because I knew my ceiling was up. After I broke a record, I wasn't gonna work that hard for them no more. But again, it's time to move on. You're not gonna promote me, then I need to try to go somewhere else then, and that's just that. And they also did some other shady stuff, like my other full timer. She had applied for another position and everything, and she got it, the counter next to me. And I remember she came up to me and told me, "Hey Toya, I got this job. They didn't want me to tell you. They told me not to tell you anything. And these are the bosses on my side." So it was just so, of course, when I confronted them, they didn't know what to say. So it's like we just got to
Yeah,
get Toya out of here. She know we ain't nothing. She know we
yeah.
playing her
She's
like
gotten too
I got something.
strong.
Yeah. So if she ain't gonna go, we
Yes.
got to get her out. And I believe they had a whole meeting like we got to go up in this book and figure
Yeah.
out what we gonna get her for because she's been doing
Wow.
well.
So
Very traumatic
yeah,
experience for me in the beginning stages of
yeah.
my
Especially to
career.
to
Mhm.
to perform that way, to basically be the superstar on the sales floor, to just be crushing it in every direction, breaking records, people coming in and then for to end it being escorted out by security.
Escorted out by security. Hmm. I'll
Wow.
never forget that day. I'll never forget that day. But it was the catalyst to me making a decision to decide to start
Okay.
to move to LA. And so a lot of things happened, but I started to hear a
Mm,
sign from God. At that time, my cousin had got engaged to a really prominent actor who now has two
awesome.
Oscars. So they got married, and I remember they came to the because they got married in Chicago. So when they came to Chicago, I did her makeup twice. The first day he was like, "Oh, it's really good. It's really good," And then the second day he was like, "You gotta come
Mm,
to LA. You gotta come here. It's really good."
nice. Nice.
I'm like, okay, cool. At the time, I was trying to go to New York because that's where my cousin had lived, and I was trying to go to New York way. And then when she get engaged, I'm like, now you didn't put a wrench in
You
my
done messed up
plans.
everything.
Uh,
You and your love.
yes, yes, exactly. And so his name is Mahershala
Mahershala
Ali. That
Ali.
is, yeah, the one from House of
Yes.
Cards, Hunger Games,
Congratulations, good
whatever,
sir.
Green Book.
You messed up things for Latoya, but congratulations.
It's okay. So, and then, so I did one thing she said changed the trajectory of
Mm,
how I made my move. And I said, okay, girl, I'll go to LA, but why don't help me find an
yeah.
apartment and I'll go. And she says this, and this changes everything. She says, I can't do this for you. And I
Mm,
just like, wow, okay. And then I went to sleep, kind of ponder it. And then I woke up the next day and a few things happened. Well, I woke up the next day and I said, you know what? I've never had anyone do anything for me. No one ever has made it happen for me but me. So why am I like already trying to have a crutch when like that ain't even me? And then a couple of things happened. I got like four different signs from God to basically say go. Which one of them was I Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen and Oprah was on there. She was talking about reading the book The Power of Now, and she was talking about how she doesn't worry about the past, or she doesn't worry about the future. She's worried about now. And I don't remember the other two things, but the last thing that happened was my dad is like one of the cheapest people alive, most frugal people alive. Okay,
my kind of dad. That's my kind of dad.
And so
that's I
not
love that guy
mine.
already.
And
I don't even know him. I love that guy.
Cheap for no reason. And so I was like, if I asked him to move in with him for 6 months and not pay any rent, I know if he says yes, then I know this is what God wants me to do this because my dad is the cheapest person in life, right? So I pick up the phone and I say, okay, Dad. So, I think I'm ready to get up out of here. I'm going to go towards LA. 6 months. I just need 6 months. I'm not going to pay you no rent because I'm unemployed. I'm on unemployment. I only got a job when I'm talking to him about this. But I'm like, I'm going to leave in 6 months. So I just need a place to stay so I could do that and, go, and then I'll be in LA. And the words that came out of his mouth was, get your stuff and come on. And for me, I was like, what? No argument, no nothing. No, I didn't cry. I was shocked.
I thought you let out the glory tear, like, oh my goodness, yes.
That was a shock. Like, all right, well then let's just start packing it because let's hurry up before something changes. I put everything on Craigslist. I had put everything on Facebook. I had people hitting me up in the DM. What's going on? Why are you selling everything? What you doing? And you kind of got to move in silence. So I didn't tell people really what I was doing. And so for the next 6 months, I lived between my dad's house. Oh, because I had to be out that week. Like my lease at the end of the week, it was like the next month. So that's why it looked like it was so abrupt because it was like a week. But the next 6 months, I spent time between my mom's house, my sister's house, and my dad's house. So I pretty much kept my suitcase in the trunk, and then started freelancing again for makeup companies. And then just knew I needed to add the money up so that I could be able to move. So, we always talk about the entrepreneur journey. What are you really willing to do? And that was one of the things that I had to do to be able to afford to make it out. Yeah. And then I heard God say, have $3,500. Just have $3,500 to start. And I was like, okay. And so by the end of the year, so September to the end of December was to get the money. And then between January and February, like start getting preparing to get up out of here. And so I remember December 31st, I counted the money. It was $3,700 in cash. And I was just like, oh my God, okay, God, I think you want me to do this. Like all these things, God, do you want me to do this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? And so once I got the $3,700, then I said to myself, well, I wasn't really prepared for all of this, so I need to get up out of here. And so I ended up having a friend who was a hostess. I said, I'm going to have a party. And I want you to host it so that number one, I don't have to go visit everybody before I say goodbye. But two, so that if anybody see me after this party, they're going to all be like, why are you here? Why are you here? I'm supposed to be in LA. So like I literally did that to put the final kick in my butt. So I have this party and it's awesome. People can barely fit in my mom's house and it's just like so crazy, so many people. And I will say I didn't expect anything. I provided the food, everything, and I just was like, just come say bye. So my family cooked the food, and like between my friends and a few family members, I ended up getting an extra $1,000.
Very nice.
And so it's one of those moments where, sometimes I think it's hard for family members who don't come from just like healthy support and knowing how to support one another, how they choose to show up in different ways, right? She might not say she's sorry or she love you, but she might cook a pot of beans for you, So I saw them show that love in that way. And I remember that was the first time I ever cried for like 3 hours and I couldn't stop myself. I actually was praying while I was crying to stop crying because I could not control that because I was doing this thing, but I didn't know that like silently if this is what it looks like for you to be rooting for me, like I receive it. So I was overwhelmed.
That's incredible.
And then like 2 days later, me and my cousin get in a car and we drive to LA. And one day after that, I go to the makeup show to start networking.
Okay. So dope. And I love that you created like a force factor, basically. Like I'm going to have a party that says I'm leaving to make sure that now I got to go. Like I always think that that's great to do. It's a very smart strategy to to kind of get rid of your procrastination and ensure that you do what you said you were going to do, kind of thing. I think that's always great.
Yep. That's
So during that time
yeah.
though, you moving pretty freely. You know what I'm saying? I'm hearing, you working, you going to get your masters, you do like you not LA, I can come, bow, I'm out. And you doing it. No relationships at this time?
I mean, let me get a telescope. Let me try to think, look, see that far. I would say my last, what I would consider like a relationship that felt real to me was around 23. So when I first
Mm.
started my master's, and he was getting his master's as well too. It was a cool experience of us both getting our masters, and we
Same
both
school?
artists as well. So he did. No, he went
Okay.
to Robert Morris University and he got his stuff and like see he got the
Yeah.
CPA. He went that route. Um, but he's also he did music. He had a really good song at that time, and so I'm doing makeup, so we
Yeah,
kind of had the
yeah.
art thing going on. It was cool,
I'll be honest, you glowing right now. I'm just
And then
gonna let you know. I don't know what happened with y'all, but right now, as soon as you start talking about him, you kind of glowing. I'm just gonna let
oh no, it's okay. No, no, no. It was a reason why I ended for sure. We're
you. Yeah.
still cool via Facebook, and I'll probably send him this clip just to make him blush as well. But no, we're good. It's the reason it ended. And so I love you still.
Let me
Don't
mad.
be mad
Let
at
me
me
mad.
when I see you this clip. Don't be mad at me when I see this. He won't be. Um, and so, and we have a tattoo. We got I won't say we got matching tattoos, but we got tattoos at the same time. So I'll never forget them, and things like that.
Yeah.
So I had a good time with them until it was done, and then moved on, and then kind of dated a drug dealer for a
Oof.
while, which like
Ooh, the
that was
bad
the
boy.
love right there. Though. That was the love, right? He wasn't no bad, but those are the softest ones
I live in
walking.
I
What
live
are
in
you
Cali.
talking
I don't
about?
know that. I don't know that. We
Oh yeah, no, they're the
yeah.
softest ones talking. Like yeah, drug dealers have routines. They act like old people. Like they are very
They act
much
like
like
old.
I take the dog out at this time. I get the newspaper at this time. Like I have to do
I've
all this at this
never heard
time. Like that was
anybody equate drug dealers to acting like old people with a routine. I'd never heard that. Please.
yeah, they're very routine. And then like you clean up, you like you're junkie, clean up my house, everything. I'm like every day, be like the old man, like
What?
getting mad about it, cleaning it. I'm like, I know you're gonna clean it, just clean it.
You're
Like it's
blowing my
fine.
mind right now.
So yeah, so even though that one was toxic because wasn't as honest, and obviously I didn't find out his dishonesty until I
Mm.
overly cared about him, but really 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 enjoyed him. I would say out of all the men in my life, like he sticks there the most in terms of like
Mm.
how I felt and
And
how he felt
so,
about me.
if you don't mind, what was the
Yeah.
dishonesty that just?
Oh my God, he had a whole girlfriend and a baby, a
Oh, yeah,
newborn.
that's kind of big. That's kind of
Oh
big. I thought you
my
meant like he
God.
was slanging on that
I
side of
sent him
town
a
too, or something.
I sent him a birthday card and she calls me. What? So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's
kind of
that.
a big one. It's kind of a big one.
Yeah,
Just
little
a little
big
bit.
one.
Real
Yeah.
quick, matching tattoos. So, had you already had tattoos prior to getting matching tattoos? Okay,
Yeah. I
okay.
have eight
You have how many?
tattoos. Yeah.
8. Okay. I
Eight.
asked because I'm a wuss when it comes to tattoos. I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. I know that I came from Missouri, and when I was younger, the old people talked about as the devil, and so I know that's in my head, but like my wife has tattoos. And there's been times that we go out and she's like, hey, let's get matching tattoos. And I'm like, yeah. But I never do because I'll overthink. Well, what would I get? What am I gonna want in 20 years? What did it? And for her, she's like, whatever. And I'm the one. So help me through it. So my wife isn't like, bro, will you please like help me break through?
First of all, I love your wife, okay? Because like he's a tattoo head is what it
Yes,
sounds
she
like.
is.
And what I love about how you even just explain that is because that's exactly like for me, it wasn't about the tattoo, like what I'm getting. It was about the
Mm,
camaraderie of like going with my girlfriends and spending that
yeah,
time with them. Like I never really got a tattoo by myself, and you know how tattoo culture, you might drink a little bit before you go in or you waiting or whatever. It's just a
yeah,
vibe. And so it really was the
yeah.
camaraderie as opposed to just getting the tattoo. But obviously, if it don't hurt as bad and you kind of like it, like you gonna be
Yeah.
in there.
I like it.
she like had this experience with me. But I want to be clear, we did not have matching tattoos. We just got
Same
tattoos
day.
on the
Got
same day.
But that's really good because that actually makes me think about they've had tattoo parties like for the girls, and they all get together and hang out and get tattoos, and that's a good point. And I just realized every time that she's talked about it, it has been a time we were like out doing something. We're like on our anniversary or we're going on a vacation. We're and she's like, "Hey, tattoos," and now I feel like a terrible, terrible husband because I didn't fulfill that moment of camaraderie. Thanks, Latoya.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I hope she sees this as well and like add her perspective because I don't know if she
Yeah.
resonates in the same way that I just explained it. But for me, that's like if you like, hey, we're gonna go get a tattoo, we're gonna do it together.
Oh
I'll be
yeah.
like, oh yeah, I'll go.
Yeah. No,
She
I
wants to
can tell
go.
you for a fact. She's like, listen to her. Spot on. I think you hit it spot on. All right. So, all right,
Awesome.
let's get back to the boss. I gotta say it that way.
Yeah, and I know we haven't got to the meat of what you want. I originally told us 45
Are
minutes
we
to an
good
hour,
right
but we
now?
can go a little longer. So
We can kind of
we're
get
good.
through it.
So
Get
just
through
yeah,
it. So the
yeah,
boss of you, right? So now you realize it's time to go, time to move on, time to do my own thing. I'm going to LA. I'm in LA. I'm going to makeup shows. I'm networking. I'm about to branch out, right? Tell me about it.
yeah.
Hmm.
It's tough. I came there with $3,500, but it doesn't
Yeah.
last that long. So I had to lean into what I knew, which was working freelance for beauty companies because I knew I could at least get $20, $25
Hmm.
an hour. And that could at least help me cover my monthly bills and things like that. And then also my goal, and I always tell other artists, freelancers, my goal was exposure. Only I thought it was only going to be for 6 months. But what I know now is that you're always
Yeah.
exposing yourself. And so that freelancing, I took myself. I've worked in every place in Los Angeles County. Okay, you cannot name a place that
Wow.
I have not worked in. Okay, we can talk about Montebello, Santa Anita. Okay, Santa Clarita. We could talk about Thousand Oaks. We could talk about
Oh
Southgate. We could
yeah. Oh
talk
yeah.
about all of them. I've worked in all the stores, Beverly Hills. Okay, I've been everywhere. So I also wanted to just kind of get a vibe of the different people and like they just needed to know my name's Latoya De'Shaun. I'm a makeup artist. I'm here to help you, whatever kind of
Yeah.
needs you
Yeah.
might have. And then you start meeting people. Then I started working with a model. Of course, she grabbed on to me. We did a couple of gigs just playing around, and then that next year I started doing a
Yeah.
lot of headshot uh, makeup for models,
Wow.
things like that. And so you just a little bit here and there, but I had to still rely on retail because I had nothing that was sustainable. And until around 2018, or really 2017, when I was just like, I do need to make a major shift because if I don't, I'll essentially be stuck in this for like the rest of my life and not be happy. And so then that is when coupled with me working in retail, you know how you be on social media and somebody will be like, I need like a makeup
Right.
artist
Right.
today at
Right.
2 if you're available. And I would always just reach out and be like, hey, like I'm it, let me know. And they would never reach back. But I always still tell people do it
Never
because
know.
you never know what people and their needs are. So I would just do it. And there was just one makeup artist who lived in New York who had also moved to LA maybe 1 or 2 years
Uh-huh.
after me, maybe. And I was just always, I'm
Yeah.
an engager. So if I follow you and I like what you post, I'm gonna heart it. I'm gonna say dope. I'm gonna put
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
fire, like I'm not
There
gonna
you
act like
go.
I don't see you. And so I was doing that, like, and sort of like hyping him up just from me, because genuinely I liked his
Hmm.
makeup and stuff like that. And so one day he said, hey, is anybody available? I need a makeup artist. And I said, yeah, I'm here. And then he calls me and he says, hey, I got this art person for you, which at the time it was Rashida
Hmm.
from Love and Hip Hop. They were doing a scene here in LA and he wanted me to go do her makeup. And so that was
Of course.
cool.
I didn't know that each person would have like their own. I thought it'd be like you go and you're the makeup artist, or this team is the makeup artist for the show, like all the talent.
They were probably in
Ah,
Atlanta, but because she's in LA and it's
got
on
it.
location, we need to
That
grab a
makes
local
sense.
makeup artist here. Yeah, and so they went through a makeup
Ah,
agency, which they probably work with in
I don't think I even
Atlanta
knew
as
that there was
well.
makeup agencies. That's dope. I mean, it makes sense when you
Absolutely,
say
a
it out
makeup
loud,
agency.
but if you don't think about it, you don't think about it.
Yeah, makeup and hairstyles
Yeah.
and nails, stuff like that. both their agencies for that. And so um, he was with an agency, and so they had just called and asked me, and that was a real pivotal moment because when we're talking about struggling and not being able, not saying that I couldn't pay my bills, but it was just always like, okay, the bill here, but when the check gonna come? Or you're working for a TV film and net 30 and net 60, and that means 30
Yeah,
days, 60
that's tough.
days, and sometimes you may not have the money until you get there, and so you feel like you're
Right.
struggling. There's been days where I had to share food with friends just to make breakfast. Like I remember
Grinding.
that. And so I was down, but I wasn't out. And so I remember I got a bill for $250 for my heat bill. And I know that's crazy for one bedroom, one person
Facts.
in California. But I remember when I said I was a kid and I was living with my mom, I said, look, I'm gonna be able to afford to have my heat on as high as I want. Because in
Chicago's
Chicago it's
crazy.
snow and they over there tripping, talking about the heat, and I'm over there sleeping in a down coat because you won't let me turn the heat on. Mom. So I was like, I'm
Wait
gonna
till I
be
get
able
my
to
own
afford my
house.
heat. So exactly. But when you see that $250 bill for one bedroom, one person living in California,
You're like,
you
where that
like,
coat at? Where that put my
what?
down coat back on.
I started to panic. Like, what am I going to do? Because that's just astronomical and
Yeah,
the money's not there. And I remember at this point, and I've always considered myself to be a religious person in that I do follow doctrine. I said, well, what is the one thing that I need to start doing different? And this is putting more trust in God, or if I am having a problem, like praying to God and letting him know this is what it is
yeah,
instead of me trying to be in front of him, which is again a big lesson that we always are trying to learn. Like, stop trying to move in front of God. We'll
every
be
time,
limited every
every
time. And so I remember praying that prayer and just saying, "Hey God, you told me not to worry. That if this is a problem, give it over to you and don't worry about it." Within 30 minutes, I get a call to work on Rashida for Love and Hip Hop for $300. And the agency takes a 10% cut. So it's $270. Remember, that heat bill was
yeah.
250 within 30 minutes.
Wow.
Right. I always tell it's such a pivotal moment in terms of, what are some of the things that happen in your life that gives you that oomph
Hmm.
to keep on going. And that was one of those. I didn't care it was about Rashid. I was caring it was $300. I
We
could
can
pay
move
this bill. We
forward,
can move
and
forward.
you
And it was nice to work with her. She was very nice to
and
work
you
with that day.
and you
But yeah,
recognized it.
that
I
was.
think that's another big thing that people miss is that God speaks to us. Now, He may not speak the way you thought.
Mhm.
That sign may not look the way you thought it was going to look when you asked God for a sign, but it's there. The hard part is that discernment and recognition of like, hold on, I just said this, and then
Absolutely.
this happened, and that perfectly goes with this. And if it hadn't have, then I wouldn't be able to this. And that's how it play out.
Yeah, like if I didn't just reach out, put
Yeah,
myself out there, then there wouldn't have been an opportunity to
right,
pay that
right,
bill when it came to reinforce what I said when I was 15 years old,
right, right.
right? All of that. And so after I did that gig, and I guess it went well with the team, he called me again and said, hey, and they need you to
Hmm.
do another gig for me. I said, okay, cool. So I go over to this woman's house. I do her makeup. And then I do it the next day, the second day, did her makeup. And after that, I would go on to do her makeup for 3 years. And this is the co-founder of Black
The
Lives Matter.
co-founder of Black Lives Matter. This is a black woman.
Yes, absolutely. The co-founder of Black Lives Matter. And so she had just had a book come out, When They Call You a Terrorist. So she was doing a book tour. So essentially they needed a makeup artist for her
Got it.
appearances. And so,
And so I actually had a guest on that was telling me that he was in favor. See, I know happened. So then he was saying no, it actually was the Black Lives Matter organization, and then later on, after the George Floyd situation, or maybe it was a Trayvon, one of the situations, then it turned into a movement. But then that was like a separate thing. Do you know if you do you know anything about any of that?
that ain't my business. What is my business is that she was the co-founder of Black Lives Matter, and she, did everything. I mean, she's like my Martin
Mm,
Luther King, you know. no one can do what
Wow.
she did. Not many people would do that, and things like that. And so Black Lives Matter was very much an organization before George Floyd. It's just that even when she talked, she said, I was a person before I was
Yeah.
politicized. And so Black Lives Matter, just like a lot of things people do to confuse us, they
Yes.
politicize it instead of really understanding that this is human rights. And so when you have that, and then you have Black folks who have not really have been strong in
Mm.
how we stick together, then it gets all messy. And so I just can't
Yeah,
speak for none of
I
that
need to
stuff.
do more research on it because he says something that was very explosive on the show. And when people bring things to the show, especially if I don't know about it, I don't try to tell anybody they're wrong. Clearly, because maybe you've done more research than I have. But I try to go do my own
Mhm.
research to then either bring that person back to talk about it or whatever, just so we're always dealing in truth. But one thing that they said was that the original organization on their website was specifically talking about rethinking the nuclear family in so many words because the founders were was a lesbian couple. That's what was said, and I'm like, okay, I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot for me to unpack.
So funny because that's not even true.
And see, her,
I
so
don't
I'm gonna
understand.
take that. That was my research. I just did my research.
Lesbian couple, Black Lives Matter was started from three women who are not together.
You see, you see this. I told people in like our fifth episode, I said this is gonna be the real Truth Social. We're gonna get down to truth at all times.
Here's the thing: what I'll tell you though, without not making it Black
Okay.
Lives Matter specific, but specifically what I got from working
Mm.
with her for 3 years. People hate to see Black
Mm.
women get it. People hate to see
Mm.
Black women succeed. And don't be gay, don't be queer while you at it. Don't be anything that they don't want you to be acceptable because you already got a
Ugh.
dagger on you. And so you, as a Black woman, any Black woman, we know the game when we say, hey, we want to step up, speak up for ourselves, go into entrepreneurship. They're going to be somebody trying to tear
Absolutely.
you down. And I saw that. So what it really did for me was help me to learn how to
Mm.
position myself and how to show strength
Mm.
despite all of that and stay focused on the main task at hand. That's what I saw her do. And I admire
So
her
she
greatly
added
for
to
it.
the boss. That boss I was talking about earlier when you grit and you mean it. Like I feel like her presence in your life in your journey kind of added a little bit of fuel to that boss.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I remember praying to God saying, I need
Mm.
mentorship in my life. And then he allows her to be my client for 3 years and I can still get paid for it. Like, this is why I tell people, look, you can get paid to still
Absolutely.
learn. And so I was able to ask her questions while
Yeah.
I'm doing her makeup, just about
Yeah.
entrepreneurial stuff, things like that. But really what's sad about it is that, she's such a powerful woman in that, like, people don't really know. She's from Van Nuys, like somewhere in the hood. She's a girl, we're a year apart. She didn't grow up, she grew up in humble beginnings. So when we're talking about building an organization
Yeah.
like Black Lives Matter, or anything, like
Yeah.
we're still learning phase. And I just feel like when you're a Black
Mm.
woman trying to do anything, ain't no room for you to just like, there's no grace for Black women. And that's what I really learned working with her. So I'm just, I
Yeah.
hope she's home resting. That's what I tell her all the time. We haven't talked in a while. I'm not her client.
Yeah.
She's not my client anymore, but rest is what
She
I want her to
deserves
do.
it.
She deserves
What is her name?
it. Mhm. Patrice
Patrice
Colors.
Colors. Patrice
Colors.
Colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to you,
Yeah.
Patrice. Thank you for all your
Mm-hmm.
hard work.
Shout
Yeah,
shout out to
thank you for your
Patrice
work
for sure.
because a lot of people talk, especially in nowadays. We talk a lot about where are
Mhm.
our leaders now, where are our Martin Luther Kings and Malcolm X's, and a lot of times they may not stand out the same way because just the times have changed. But we do have people that really
Uh-huh.
like take their life and really stand in front of a cause and put their fist in the air, plant their feet in the soil and say like, nah, I'm gonna stand for this for everybody behind me or anybody coming after that. And so you got to really, give a shot.
Because I'm not signing up to go and almost get killed every day to go defend Black men. I'm
Why?
not.
Come on, Latoya, don't do us like that.
I'm just saying, I love you, but I'm not. But that was her purpose in life, And so, yeah, it was a
Yeah,
really, really
yeah.
great time.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, I know we took a little sideline, but that was a very interesting and I think a very poignant piece to put out about her and just overall and to clear up misconceptions. And I love what you said about Black women because that's a hot topic, you know what I mean? And that's a real issue that we deal with and have dealt with for decades about, the Black woman finally getting their just due. So I feel like our struggles are separate and but they both need each other. You know what I mean? Black men need Black women's support. Black women need Black men's support. It's not a sometimes, part of destroying us is dividing it. Then the conversation's like, well, they're better off than you, or you're better. We have a struggle
Yeah,
as our people. Period. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, just a great time to learn from her. And the two clients that I would have after her as well, I learned from them as well too. So I feel like I got what I needed in terms of that mentorship. I would go on to as when George Floyd did get killed, I went to work like every day because she
Wow.
was just on. She was everywhere, and so I started working with other production companies and other teams, and I started to learn the makeup game from the more high profile level. I started to get mentors, which I always talk to people about mentors. Like I had those mentors set up like a year or two before I started popping off. And so I tell people if you're not trying to put in a year of just building rapport with a person you could want to have a mentor, then you're not trying to get it because if you want them to be your mentor, you got to know that they're not sitting there waiting to just respond
Right,
to
right.
your message, and they're busy. And so it took, so at the right time, I had mentors now that I could send my stuff to help me negotiate my contracts and figure out what
Mm.
my rate should be. And like that's when I learned that I don't necessarily got to work on set all day, or do I even have to go and all this and
Yeah,
that. Like,
nitty gritty of it.
I was able to just be
Yeah.
more bold as opposed to like being this meek person, this black person on set who needs to feel like it's an
Mm.
honor that she's there. Like, no,
Yeah.
I know now what it looks like to be asked to go on a set of this caliber, and I'm going
Yeah.
to
You're a
ask
peer
well.
now. You're not somebody that's welcomed in the back door. Like, no, I come through the front like everybody else. I have something that adds to
Mm-hmm.
this production like everybody else. And so I want to be treated as
Yep,
such.
absolutely. And so many instances in between that 3 year time that
Mm.
really showed me that. So and gave me such a level of confidence to now go and build what I
Gotcha.
wanted.
Gotcha. Um,
Yeah.
I saw a post you made about toxic relationships. Actually, I think you specifically said people that like kind of like you or sort of like you, something like that. Yeah,
My
yeah,
kind of like philosophy.
the kind of like philosophy. Did you experience that during this time in your life? As a makeup artist, kind of getting into Hollywood, or is that more on the personal side of things? Hmm.
It's both. Kind of like did come from an encounter in
Mm.
makeup for sure. That's when because I actually started talking about kind of like in
Oh
I
wow.
think
Okay.
2021 or yeah, because
Yeah.
that's when it first showed up.
Kind of.
So yeah, I think personally and professionally, we have to really discern and gauge like what is people's real intentions of wanting to be around us. Also, I think like for people like myself who just have gone through trauma and things like that, and certainly have been neglected and all of that. How valuable? How do these people treat you in these relationships and things like that? And obviously, if I'm not responding or if I'm having an emotional reaction that is really crazy, like why am I not knowing that this is not good for me? And so all those things I didn't really like have a handle on at that time because even in my high achievement, I was sort of hiding the fact that I hadn't really gotten the emotional support that I really,
Gotcha.
really needed. And so kind of friends are people who don't really care about that
Yeah.
part, and they are really just, it's a shallow exchange, but you don't really get to know like how these people are or anything
Yeah.
like that. And so I I know how to put those people in their
Mhm.
category now. Before I did not, and that is an everyday, ongoing
Yeah.
journey.
And I was gonna ask that because you're to me, being in LA for so long, I know what it looks like to make it. You're right. I know what it looks like in any field to actually
Yeah.
get out there and put your name out there. Like getting your name out there is like a whole nother art form We could do a whole nother podcast just talking about strategies of networking and getting over your own self-confidence and belief. And
Oh yeah, I teach that. That's what I teach in my to when I teach freelancers. We
see,
go over
and so,
all of
and that's what I was about to ask is
that.
like, so as you're doing this and as you're being on so much, you're in people's faces, you're on set, you're networking, you're on. How is that affecting you personally?
So when I was
Yeah,
in the thick of it, you're almost. I mean, a lot of it in the beginning, like you questioning yourself, your
yeah,
worth, your value, like, especially the way I came in. Like, it's not like I was this artist from like a kid and it's like, oh, she's an
yeah,
artist. This makes sense. I came in a different route and really I love the more sales part of makeup as opposed to I love makeup. But I love taking care of women. And that's what I realized in
got it.
this process. But, you know, you start off with everything. You have to get comfortable, and so you have to continue to. I call it uncomfortably comfortable. So you have to sort of accept this discomfort while you're trying to
Yeah,
navigate through. And then as you start to build your network of people, I call it people, places, and things that are going to make sure you
yeah,
get what you want, you begin to get more confident. How that really manifested is because you go get people who have been where you want
mm,
to go. So if I'm saying, hey, I got this gig and I need to know the rate, if they say that it should be around this rate because they done this, then now I feel a little bit more confident to go
true.
ask for that as opposed to
That's
just
true.
on
Very
my
true.
own. And then maybe if I go in on my own without really knowing how to assess this situation, they're gonna come back in with a negotiation. Am I gonna like lower
Right,
myself? Like, what are we
right.
gonna do here? And so I don't want to hurt the industry by doing that, by not doing my due diligence, which is what a lot of artists are out
Yeah,
here doing. And so getting that mentorship. And then one of my mentors, and I tell her this all the time, said she drilled in me the kind of questions to ask. And I put all those questions in my course because instead of just thinking, hey, I'm a makeup artist, let me just
right.
charge this price, there's a lot more that factors
Hmm.
into that decision. You could be, you think you might just be doing some makeup, body's makeup at their house, but then if they going over to Beyonce's house to go shoot a video, that's different.
Different,
if they about to walk out, if they about to walk out and go to a premiere, that's
different. Yeah.
different. But but you'll get tricked because you went to their house thinking that they going
Mm,
out to dinner and you could have gotten $1,000 as opposed to the 125 you walked out with.
that
So
part.
there's questions
Yeah.
that you ask to be able to get to a real number and what you should,
And so
what your
when
rate should be.
you're talking about your class and what you teach, is it specific to a certain category of profession? Is it specific to being in entertainment, being a makeup artist, being in, cosmetology? Is it, or is it more, or sorry, cosmetics, or is it a general and people can apply it wherever they are in their lives?
My frameworks are life frameworks. Okay. Selling is nothing but psychology. And so, but who my target audience is makeup
Mm,
freelancers. I can extend myself to just beauty freelancers as well. But typically, a freelancer is not someone who works at a place full time or part time. So or they could be seeking to work gigs outside of their full-time or part-time gigs. So they could work in a salon, but they might have a desire to have freelance
mm,
clients on the
yeah.
side. Okay. They could work for a studio, but they can also say, hey, I want to go take on personal clients. So that is a freelance person. And so the people that I work with are not people who are beginners because I don't teach makeup.
Mm,
Like that's not, if you notice me talking about my makeup career, we
yeah.
ain't talking
Yeah.
about makeup. That's not
Right.
my first love. And obviously, if you want to go learn makeup, go on YouTube and there's like a gajillion people that you
True.
can go and learn from. But if you want to learn how to sell it, right, to get those clients and also make more money and also add on
Mm.
work less, then I'm your girl because in that time I was bringing home over 1,000 a day and working approximately an hour a day.
That's that margin is ridiculous.
Yes, it is. You don't want to go
Right.
back
Once you
once you've
get
been
there,
there.
sheesh. Hour a day.
Exactly. And so And I always tell people, and I've been saying this even before I knew that this was like a strong thing for me, is like, I just want to make money as fast as possible so I can go and be available to have lunch
Mm,
with the people that I love. I remember I said it
yeah,
exactly like that. And it's amazing how God made sure that that happened the way in
yeah.
which it did. It's beautiful. I could literally walk out of this house, and I would say a total of an hour and 15 minutes. I could go to my clients, do her makeup, and be back in this house in an hour and 15
Wow.
minutes.
And all that happened
Yep.
from that first spark of I'm 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 gonna do this.
But yeah, and
Yeah,
I'm a move to LA. I'm a write on the Instagram. I'm gonna just say, hey, you good? I like
that's
your
it.
work, and then we get all the way to we
Yeah.
walking out the door for over 1,000 a day.
Yikes. All right, so I gotta ask because it's been lingering in the background of this conversation since an interaction.
For relationship, you
What?
about to go back to that? You
I'm
about to
not.
go
I'm
back
not.
to
I'm not. I'm not. I'm
relationships
not. I'm gonna
again?
leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it. Shout out to my guy. You know who he is. No, I'm gonna go back to because it has been an incredible journey since that conversation with your mom in college. And so my question is,
What do you mean, my mom in college, or you talk about in 8th grade when I told her I wasn't going to go
so
to high school? Which
was it
one?
college or high school? That when she,
When I
yeah, the
the
private
private
school.
school?
Sorry, that was high school.
Oh, that was grade school. That's 13.
Got it. Okay, I think I mixed. Maybe we rushed through that too fast, and I didn't catch the years. I remember basically your mom trying to get you into one school, but then you getting into another school, and so
Yeah,
13. So
13.
now that we look back, how does your mom look at you now? Like you've done it. You know what I mean? I know you're still going places. We'll talk about that. I know the road is not yet finished, but from where you were in Chicago to where you are now, massive, massive growth. How does mom look at it?
Um, I don't know. I really, if I want to be honest with you, I don't know. These are things that we don't talk about
Mm,
out loud. When I started to do well in my career and started to get the front cover
wow.
magazines, and the all the accolades really started coming in publicly. I don't remember getting phone calls saying congratulations. Even the Facebook socials wasn't lit. Like, I wasn't like getting like the
Wow.
congratulations and all of that. So, you know, it's true. When you start doing well, people feel like you remove yourself
Mm,
from them, and they don't know how to really celebrate
mm,
celebrate you. And so that's one of the sadder moments that I had to experience. My first cover of British Vogue,
wow.
and picking up the phone to call people to tell people what happened and nobody being available. I think my mom would say I'm proud, but I don't know if it's because I
Mm,
don't feel it. Like I know probably, yeah, like they're proud, but I don't feel that. I feel like they probably go tell
mm,
people, my mom and my dad, but I don't feel that from my family
gotcha.
members. And that in 2020 was a big hit to um, just like how I had lived life, because a lot of it was to, you want to do well, you want to build something for you and your
Yeah.
family, and again, it was another moment to say, I gotta do this for me.
Wow. Yeah, I can see
Hmm.
the pain there. That makes sense. That tracks. You've
Yeah.
had it's tough to go out into the world and get so much love and go home and not feel that same love.
Yeah, or you work so hard, but again, when we talk about trauma and things like that, and just being neglected and abandoned, and
Mm,
generational trauma really is just, my thing is people are doing
mm.
the best that they can. Sometimes the best is trash.
Yep. Okay. We're gonna take that. But that's
But that's not a dig
yeah,
to my mom. It's just in general. I just think
yeah,
people are uncomfortable when people seemingly had the same
yeah.
head start in life, and then you go off to do different things. Or if someone in the family sees that you might have had a
Mm,
better opportunity, and then that jealousy and
yeah.
all that stuff. So yeah,
It
it's
happens.
for
It
life.
happens. It's sadly natural, but it does happen. Um, so so
Yeah.
so this is in the background, of your career. Obviously, it's something that you feel you don't bring it to the forefront all the time, but does it in being a life coach, does having having to deal with that balance of what happens with my family, what happens in my professional life, and how that's gone through your life, does that affect how you're able to help someone else when you're doing life coaching and they're maybe going through personal things or they're struggling with that balance as well?
Absolutely. For me, I consider my company a personal development company because it all comes down
Yeah.
to personal development. How you act in your career stems from how you felt about yourself in general and how you were reared in your childhood. So, oftentimes, because I also have just been doing this for what, like 4 or 5 years now, a lot of women are dealing
Mm,
with mom trauma and they don't call it out loud. And somehow I'm able to fidget in there a little bit
yeah.
and help them out. And I'm really grateful for that because that's not something that I ever thought that I could like speak to, in that way. But I'm glad to be that
Mm,
support for people. In terms of confidence, this is all a game of
yeah.
confidence. And so, what do you believe about yourself so that you can develop that confidence, right? Who are the people, places, and things that you need to eliminate so that you can get to what you want? And who are the people that you need to
Mm,
get on your team? I call that
yeah.
expand your network, your vibe, your tribe. It all ends with community. And so those are some of the things that I've had to really deal with in keeping on this career that I have and really moving towards a more healthier life, one that
Mm,
honors myself. It's all a personal
yeah.
development journey. Like I tell you, selling is nothing but
Yeah.
psychology as well. But it's just it's I do it in a certain way where you can convert your sales so that you can make money.
And so in being such a great salesman, which I see it, I can see it. I can see it in the smile. I can see it in the smizing. Beautiful, right? I get it.
Yeah,
So you're consistently, trying to meet the needs of your client. You're consistently trying to see what they need, right? Whether they know it or not, whether they're coming to you to let them know what they need. However, you're approaching this particular sale. And I've also heard you
yeah,
talking about prioritizing your own needs and why that's, a big
absolutely.
deal. Can you talk about that?
Because I always say, like, my whole tagline in my company is "You've been serving everyone, yet being served the least, not
Mm,
anymore." And for people who want to get certain kind of clients and walk out the door for over a
yeah.
thousand dollars, you can't go get that kind of client if you yourself don't have that
That's
kind of energy. Beyonce don't have people in her space that think, little of
yeah.
themselves in the craft of what
Yeah.
there. And so that's how that ties into the kind of work. And so, it's not just about, I'm not just doing your makeup now and it's just
Mm,
all about you. Okay. I don't get to abandon myself no more, not for the job or for anybody. I get to now say, like, under these confines, what's going to make me comfortable so that I can do the best work for
yeah.
you? And so it's really, and this is a part, this is like stage 6 in coaching. It's called recommitting to the life
Huh,
you deserve and what it actually looks like. And I built in a path, I call it the
huh.
pathway to freedom to get you clear on the way in which you should go about that. Should you ever get it mixed up and then you start abandoning yourself and not prioritizing your
Wow. So
needs.
you said that's step 6.
Yeah,
How
in the
many can you
coaching.
share
Yeah,
the
that's like
steps with
week
us?
Well, that's week 6 in the coaching when I coach freelancers. But the pathway to freedom is basically, it looks like Maslow's
Hmm,
hierarchy of needs. And pretty much it starts with spirituality being the base and the one that you should
yeah.
spend the most time with. We know that we need to be more grounded in how what we make meaning of the world. Don't start saying God this and God that when when the troubles are here.
Yeah.
But what can you do to improve your relationship with God? I ain't say Jesus and Yahweh and Allah and all of them. So don't try to confuse this. But whatever it is you praying to, how do you make meaning of the world to a place where it
Hmm,
brings you peace? So spirituality is so important and most of what you should be working
yeah.
on throughout the day. After that is your mental
Yeah.
health and your physical health. We know that the impact of us not taking care of ourselves usually shows up in physical, problems. I passed out at a club in
Oh,
2018. That was one of the catalysts for. I know we'll talk about it in a second. It was one of the catalysts for me getting my
oh,
life together, and so I've gone on a big health journey in the last 3, 4 years to get myself together. I feel like I'm in the best health of my life now. I'm feeling stronger than ever, and so and then I also have a therapist. I got my pastor. We check in once a month from Chicago. Like, I'm not playing about this thing
mm,
that I say I won't. And so the next level after that is relationships, which again is the biggest level that you'll work on, because what are these people, places, and things? Because we always, you might have your parents around you and they might not be good for you. You might have cousins around, but are you going to really choose yourself? Do you think you matter
mm,
enough? And so you'll always battling that
yeah.
until you get stronger. And then the last two levels is career and finance. And for those people, when we get there, I just tell people, tell me what you want. Like, what is it that you really want? And that's a part, what do you want? Why do you want it? How much you want to make? And that's the finance. And really the first three levels, if you are obedient there, then the byproduct of your obedience is that career and financial gain that you want. And then bonus level, volunteerism and luxury. You should be giving your time
Ooh.
back. You should be making sure that you luxuriate and make sure that you go do whatever it is you want with
Oh
this
yeah.
new
I
life.
love
That
that. I love
exactly
the
path in the
bonus
future.
level. The bonus
That's the
level, which is a
bonus.
beautiful level. Give back to
Mm-hmm.
yourself, give back to people. That's beautiful. You
Mm-hmm.
deserve it.
Exactly. That's the bond. And so I've helped a
Yeah.
few women along the way who have actually seen that being played out. And it's such a
Yeah.
beautiful journey when I sort of slow them down or remind them that whatever's for you is not
Mm.
going to miss you. And so I've seen them take more trips than they've taken in the last few years. Their money has also gotten better. Things like
That's
that. So look, we
awesome.
teach it. And this is what I teach. I just want this for
You
other
are
women
doing an
just like
incredible
yourself.
thing for the women that you meet, the women that you're able to touch. That's a blessing. I pray that it continues to
Thank
flourish, and
you.
one day you have a team of people, and it's happening in multiple cities, and these stages just happening for all Black women all over the place. And
Amen. I receive that. And so I know that we already talked about my international travels, but getting to now, what
yeah,
does all of this look like now that I'm in tune with myself? I live also, I don't live in America full time anymore. So I live between Accra, Ghana and
wow,
Gaborone, Botswana. And I have created a workshop over there to help women basically, to basically highlight
hmm,
revolutionary women who have committed to the life
yeah,
that they deserve. It's called Redefine
redefine
Her,
her.
Defining Your Future. Yeah, so that next one is coming up March 2024,
I
Gaborone,
love it.
Botswana.
I love it. And so I was gonna ask what's next for Latoya, but it sounds like that's what's next. Yeah.
That's what's next. Yeah. So really moving into this coaching space. So along with helping artists, again, like a lot of it is personal development. So just life coaching, emotional
Yeah.
support coaching. If we want to do strategic planning, I just got to finish coaching a
Mm.
woman in Botswana, going over her business, and we did a strategic planning thing for her. But yeah, like my goal is to how can I make this money right as
Yeah.
fast as I can, but also how can I
Mm.
serve God's people right and get the abundance back and do that in a way that honors me. Which if I'm being honest with myself, I just don't want to
Mm.
work that hard anymore in the physical like I did
Of
with my
course.
makeup these last 17 years. So if I can log on to this computer and help you do
Hey,
what you need to do, and I can be in any country that I want to be in, and I can go do the things that I want. Like
that's the
that's
life.
life. And so that and then brand consulting. So also getting into now that I've broken these records right with these brands, and
House.
I know how to sell water to a well. Yeah, let me go ahead and help you guys do the same thing. Let me help you. Let me show you. It's the framework is called Never Stop Selling. So I'm going to show you how to create what I consider to be an amazing customer service experience that converts into a lot of money. So that's brand consulting, which again, I could do that in person. We could do that virtual, don't matter. And then, gearing up to become a
Mm.
public speaker so that I can share my story with other folks and, continue to inspire all around the world.
You have made an impact on this world, as I can hear. You've made an impact on me. And I'm pretty sure all the listeners today, you have a great story, always selling. And it feels like you can see it, you know what I mean? From the beginning.
tell me what's the impact. Tell me what's the
Oh,
impact you
first
think you
off,
got.
I'm gonna go back and find out all of my makeup colors. That's first. Okay. Second, I'm gonna go tell my wife I'm sorry that I didn't get a tattoo when you want to go. Okay, because I feel like I've taken that away from her, and she got to wait until that should be me. You know what I'm saying? That should be me. And I
Yep.
think third, it's really, really, really great for Black men to hear the struggles and the stories and the success of our Black sisters that are out there, because we don't always see each other's struggles. We know them, we know they're there, we recognize it, but I think it's a different level of appreciation for it when you hear it. You hear someone's nuances of their story, like the good and the bad, what happened on the personal side, the family, the believing in myself, the looking to God, the moments that God showed himself and gave you
Mhm.
these nuggets and direction, and you move forward. And I think all of that is so healing, overall, that
Yeah.
yeah, that's an incredible impact on me today. And that's just a little bit. We're gonna start with the makeup though.
Yeah. Thank you. Like, I appreciate that so much. I mean, and this was healing for me as well, because this is just the life that
Mm,
I've always lived. So I don't really necessarily sometimes
right,
hold it in regard, because it's just how I've been flowing since I was a kid. But in these moments of talking and letting other people hear the story, that's why, like, the first pillar of my company is behind every face is a
that's
story.
true.
So just understanding that we are all uniquely made, and like we should care to, or be curious to know those inner
Absolutely.
parts. And so in doing that, like, I get to see what other people see that I might not see in myself,
Right,
because I do the
right,
same
and that's
thing.
good. That's why I think communication is, so obviously key. Sounds cliche, but it's what separates us from the animals. Like being able to come together and really like talk and listen and understand and appreciate another person's story. There's even in talking your own story, there's something that you get out of
Mhm.
it. There's something that happens
That's
that's restorative, that's inspirational, that's regenerative. Like things just happen from
yeah,
just dealing in that space. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your truths and your honesty, your transparency, and thank you for everything that you're doing.
yeah,
Everything. I hope that any and every Black woman that watches this, or Black man that knows a Black one, anybody, directs them to Latoya De'Shaun, because I think that you have something really special, to give to people. Very special.
I appreciate it so much. Yeah, I've been coaching
Mm,
people in Botswana. I'm coaching someone in Kenya right now. This DJ, I'm really
nice.
helping him out. um, working with women here, a lot of them in LA, like these from hair to makeup. Like, I like to say I like to help. Like, a lot
Yeah.
of people ask me for help, but it always kind of still narrows down to
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
in beauty. And so, so it's either beauty and or
Yeah.
entertainment. So it's like, I guess that's
Right.
literally my background. So
It
it's like,
works. It works. It tracks.
um, yeah, it does. And so I'm happy when, like, everybody's like, I don't hide, like, whatever. I remember I helped, me and a hairstylist worked on a set together, and I asked her, I said, how much you making? She was making a
Mm,
thousand less than me. And I was just like, this is not cool. And so the next gig, actually, my client needed a hairstylist. And I told the girl, I said, put down $1,000. And she did. And that was her first $1,000 she made that quick.
hey, if you only help one, you've done a lot. And clearly you have. All right, Latoya, if anybody wants to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Latoya De'Shaun, LatoyaDeShaun. Pretty much you can, like, Google that or whatever. I don't want to sound like that person, but I am proud that you can Google Latoya De'Shaun, and there's some stuff you'll get on there. You'll see stuff about makeup, personal development, mama, trauma, chronic pain, which I didn't talk about a
Mm,
lot today, but those are generally the things I talk about. But YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn,
whatever. Just
whatever.
find her. That's it.
I'm, I'm
There
on
you
it
go.
until
Don't
I'm
worry
not.
about what it says at the top of the screen. Just make sure she on the screen and connect with Latoya.
Yeah, you can also go to www.patentleatherproject.com. It's going to start with, you've been serving everybody, yet being served the least,
Not
not
anymore.
anymore. And we'll go from
I
and
love
we'll
it.
go from there.
Latoya, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Hopefully we can have you back anytime you want to come. You are more than welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. If anybody wants coaching, hit me up. Let's do this. Let's get you some money. Let's get your life. Let's get
Be a
you the life you
boss. You
really
know what I'm saying?
want.
Be a boss.
Be a
All right, I'll talk
boss.
to you soon.
Thank you.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 31 of the Pod is Good podcast. Latoya De'Shaun. What a story. Did I let you know? Did we disappoint? Another one in the books. A beautiful story of growth and exploration and belief and confidence, and now giving back and trying to build the confidence of others to increase their stories. Imagine if we all worked just that hard to help the next person. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That being said, pod is good. And all the time, I am Cashmere, California. This is the Pod is Good podcast. I will see you guys on the next show. Hopefully very soon. I should have episode 3. Episode 32. Man, I was off. Episode 32 coming very shortly. Until then, peace out.